Thank you so much for joining me on Thriving Within. And this platform's a little different. Typically, it's more like a radio session, but today we're actually going to get to see Mark Fox and learn about his invention that a little backstory of how I discovered this. So most of my listeners or viewers know that I'm a physical therapist, and that in 2005, I was diagnosed with systemic lupus erythematosus, or also known as lupus. And I was very, very sick. And yeah, my prayer was, God, bring people, experiences, information, anything in my life to get my health back, because it pretty much came on overnight. It was June 25th, 2005. I woke up and it felt like I had the closest analogy is shards of glass in all my fingers and in my bicep tendons. And by November of 2005, those shards of glass had spread to my hips, both knees, both ankles. Couldn't hardly walk. I had a 6-month-old daughter. So I thought it was rheumatoid arthritis, but ultimately I was diagnosed with lupus, and it's been a 20-year journey of God just delivering and delivering, and I've gotten so much of my health back. I'm not quite there, but resignation is not an option. So in 2022 is where I really started doing a deep dive into what can be called as energy medicine. Another term I've heard is wellness tech. And I got a lot of introductory influence from Dr. Jerry Tennant and his book, Healing is Voltage. So that my journey, I'm getting better and better. So this March, one of my patients, she brings in this, and she's very educated. She brings in this little tiny, looks like a little iPod. She said, "This is helping my elbow pain and my sleep." I'm like, kind of skeptical. So at that point of time, and back in March, I was having some hip pain. So she literally took her vibe and like stretched my waistband and just shoved it in there. And I worked. And then she took it after that hour. And then by the end of that day, wow, my hip was feeling better. And then, so I would see her about once a month and I'd say, bring that vibe. I want to try. So I beta tested it, and I just kept seeing all these positive changes, not only in me, but in patients. So before you kind of give us a very basic explanation of PEMF and what that is, if you don't mind sharing with the audience just your background of who you are and what led you down this path.
Yeah, sure. And thank you for having me. This is great. Nice to meet you. So the path to this is, my background is I was a space shuttle chief engineer for many years. I never meant to ever get into this energy therapy stuff. My dog, 27 years ago, maybe about the same time, couldn't come up the stairs one morning, and we took her to the vet. She had severe arthritis in her spine, and it's like, ah. So another veterinarian that I know is a good friend of mine, lives a couple states away. At the time I was in Utah, he's in Texas, and he's like, hey, there's this magic machine that has frequency and energy and it can reverse arthritis. So I'm like, just like you, I'm skeptical. I'm a rock. There's no way that's going to work, but it's my dog, so I'm going to go look into it. So I did, and at the time the technology wasn't available enough. It was 2 states away. I had to go to Oregon, and my vet says, don't put her in the car, she's too sick. So I ended up not being able to treat her with it because of technology was just too scarce, and it was too far along in her progression, unfortunately. Like, animals sometimes don't complain till they're near the end, right? So that part was hard, but I learned about technology, and what really got me going is I saw what it was doing for PTSD and trauma, and the fact that it was being held hostage in clinical environments and expensive machines made me angry. So that's how I kind of got involved in designing the products. Now, You said PMF and what it is. Going into that is, I like to explain it at a higher level, is to say, think of energy transfer. So nothing in the world happens without energy transfer. You don't eat food, you don't breathe oxygen, you don't drive a car, you don't fall down and hurt yourself. Cells don't divide, everything, right? Everything is an energy transfer of some kind. In this specific case, it could be an electrical current, like a TENS unit. A lot of people are familiar with the TENS unit. It can be PEMF, a magnetic field. It can be light, it can be sound, or it can be vibration. So magnetic therapy has been around since Hippocrates, 3500 BC was the first time it was documented that we know of. And it was discovered around the early 1900s that pulse electromagnetic fields are just much more therapeutic. Now it's also the Earth's heartbeat. So the Earth puts out PMF 24/7 at 7.83 hertz, actually 3 bands, 7.83, 14.1, and 20.3, I think. The 7.83 is correct. The other two, I got to double check. But so it's the Earth's heartbeat. And it's just, it's very therapeutic. And we get this question all the time. They go, oh my God, is it EMF? Yes, it's called PEMF. So it's pulse electromagnetic fields. But people are so scared of EMF and the harmful ones that they mixed it in. They throw out the baby with the bathwater, not realizing PEMF at low energy is very therapeutic and helpful. People are worried about their cell phones and Wi-Fi and those type of things. So on the scale, I try to explain it this way is everyone's been to the doctor or the dentist and had a lead apron on with an x-ray to protect you from that EMF, that radiation. Well, that's 10 to the 12th or 13th power, 13 zeros, okay? Your phone's gonna be a million. These protocols that we're talking about in the PMF world are 1 to 1,000. So that's extremely low. In fact, when you plot that to, x-rays at it's zero. It's actually zero because 1 to 1,000 is zero when you got 12 zeros over here. So that's the difference between EMF and PMF, which always comes up, which is kind of dangerous because people buy EMF readers and they don't know how they work. The manufacturers don't know what they're actually measuring and they freak out because they see something. But that's what it is. And electrical stimulation or magnetic therapy, PMF, has been around since Tesla's time. There's a lot of people that did a ton of research back then in the early 1900s. And then in the United States, unfortunately, John D. Rockefeller and Carnegie screwed it up for everybody because they owned all the oil in the world, or Rockefeller did. And he figured out that I could make drugs from oil. So and they own the medical landscape. They own basically medical licenses and research to hospitals. So they said, hey, if you're not doing drugs or surgery, we're pulling your licenses and we're pulling the funding. So that's why in the United States, we got way behind. We're catching up again, but that's why a lot of people in the US have never heard of PMF. If you go man on the street with a microphone and go, hey, have you ever heard of PMF? 1 out of 15 or 1 out of 20 people will say yes. They know what a beamer mat is, or they've been to a spa or a chiropractor, or they've seen something. So, and more people are learning about it. However, in the horse industry, 100% of the people know what it is. They all know what a MagnaWave machine is. They've all had their horse treated with it, or they've seen another horse in the stables where the veterinarian comes out with this big keg-sized machine with these big magnetic rings and treat horses. So it's catching on more and more, but that's kind of the background. Super long answer to what you asked me. So I'll shut up and let you ask another question.
No, that's great. Yeah, and I absolutely agree. I went to physical therapy school over 25 years ago, and we studied electrophysiology, but like we studied TENS, we studied microcurrent, but I look back in my notes, we never even discussed PEMF. So it's relatively new to me, and I'm not a quantum physicist, I'm a physical therapist, but there seems to have this kind of quantum mechanics behind all this energy medicine. That would be more in your realm, but I try to explain to patients, because that concern of, is these waves or these EMFs, they're bad for you, but the difference between like your phone and 5G, I've kind of like simplified it by, well, those are like how we have junk food and health food that
Okay.
we take in. So these are like cheap junk waves, and these are healthy waves. Is that, am I on the right track
You are on
or?
the right track. And to simplify it a little bit, what you just said earlier, you're familiar with microcurrent. This is microcurrent. It's the same
Oh,
technology. It's just delivering it with a magnetic field instead of electrical current. Now, if you remember from science class, if you have an alternating electrical current, it's going to make an alternating magnetic field, and
right.
vice
Is
versa. If you
that
have
like the
alternating
right
magnetic,
hand rule, I
right
think?
hand rule, all that stuff. So many of the protocols in there are from microcurrent. So they're the
Okay.
exact same protocols. That's where the genesis came from a lot of them. But the reason I like PMF better is it's more convenient because it's pocket therapy I can walk around with. I can put it in my pocket and I can leave, go drive a car, watch car. I don't have wires on me sitting there. That's
Right.
the big difference.
Absolutely. And I was going to show the audience. So this, it's pretty cool. So it just, this is the box that it comes in, and it's got the charger. It has everything, the cord that you need in it, and the little lanyard, and a tiny little tool to put that lanyard on. And I always tell my patients if you need help. And then I'm actually wearing my PEMF, my Vibe. I just kind of tuck it in my waistband, and then so this kind of shows you the size of it. And I put my little logo over there, so I know this is my work Vibe. I have one at work, one at home, and then what I'm encouraging patients. So on the back, there's these little holes, kind of in a
That
wave.
helps.
That's where it seems to. I don't know if attenuation is the right word, but that's where it seems to have the most juice. And then this is a test tube with, it's like it's a little magnet in it, right? And yeah,
Yes,
because it
a little
sticks to
magnet.
my fridge.
Yes.
So this is a fun little party trick I tell my patients. So take that Vibe, and you can see that little
That,
magnet going. So I've got it on general inflammation right now, which is my kind of go-to frequency. But one question I've had is, does it matter? My brain wants to put this where my pain is. Does that matter?
well, a couple, yes and no, but a couple things you had. So the reason it's right there, it's not attenuation. It's not anything that fancy. That's just where the coils are. Okay.
Okay.
So the coils are right there. And the reason there's holes there is because it gets warm. So it's just for ventilation. Yes, you wear it with a lanyard around your neck, put it in your pocket. A lot of women stick it in their bra. So you can
Okay.
put it anywhere. If it's up against your skin, which it doesn't need to be, and there's no ventilation at all, and you're doing something, it can get a little warm. So to put it
Oh,
between your underwear and your pants or your pocket or
okay.
something is a little bit better. Now, that little invention of mine, my wife said, is the dumbest idea you've ever had in your entire life.
No.
No, it's not. And she goes, it's so stupid. I'm go, no, it's not. And what it ends up being, Lane, this ends up so there's an app you have on your phone that you can look at it and read it, but people struggle with the app. So I just made a mechanical,
Yep.
audible thing that was simple. And the idea was going to prove that it worked. What it's actually used for the most by our customers, this scenario. Mine's broken. I need a new one. I'm like, calm down. I guarantee you turn the power level down to 0. I did not. I don't even have a power
Right.
level. Like, yeah, you do. So, and I'm not in people's living room, so I don't know what they're doing. But my assumption is, so, oops, sorry about that. So people that don't know, second, let me for that go off.
That's right.
Is you're going to want it to, what it does is when you're playing a protocol, it's going to, after 15 seconds, it's going to go into sleep mode, which just means the screen's not active, but the protocol's still running. And the reason it does that is to light up that screen uses a ton of power. So I'm trying to save battery. So what happens is to wake it up when it goes to sleep, you can press any button and it'll wake it back up for 15 seconds.
Okay.
What I think people are doing is they're hitting the negative button to wake it up.
Oh, sure.
But
And then the
I
powers.
can't prove that, but I know that's true because it's the only way it can go down to 0. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So then you ask me, where does it need to go? In general, it's full body coverage, and I can dive into why that is anywhere on your body. For example, PTSD is in every part of your body, so where would you put it? There is no localization, so it doesn't matter. The only time it does matter that makes it better, but you don't have to do that, is pain, arthritis or back pain or neck pain. Or I broke my foot, if I can put it in a sock to get it close to the foot, then just put it in my pocket, it's going to work better, but it will still help your broken foot
Okay.
just wearing lanyard. So the magnetic field itself will not travel very far because that's just physics.
Okay.
Magnetic fields do not go very far. But we know you get full body coverage because we've seen that, right? My foot heals. I can do wound healing for my foot on the opposite side of my body. So the theory, and because we know it doesn't work as well if you're not hydrated, this is the theory. It's like it's resonance, it's resonating with the water in your body is number one. So it's like throwing a pebble in a pond. That energy is focused where the device is at, but it travels with the water in your body. And it's hard to measure, right? But that's the theory, that you're making a correlation because it doesn't work as well when you're not hydrated. Number two, we just covered that, is like magnetic field is going to make electrical current, even though it's very, 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 very low. And your body's electrically conductive. So just like plugging a power cord in the wall, your body's going to transfer electrical energy through the whole body. So that's the second way you get full body coverage. The third one is magnetite, and you won't hear anyone else say this but me, unless they start catching on, this is my theory, can't prove it, but magnetite is what's in the cells of sea turtles and birds that we believe humans is what they're using for migration, right? With the North Pole, South Pole of the Earth. It's been discovered fairly recently in the last few decades that humans have magnetite in their cells as well, just not as a high concentration. So you could have, like, imagine a string of magnets as your cells actually have magnets in them. So it's allowing the energy to transfer that way. So long answer to your question, yes. When the dog bite I got 3 weeks ago, the guy bit me in the thigh, to put it in my left pocket right on it, healed up that wound really fast. In fact, was a doctor today explained this morning, I didn't even understand this, the phases of bruising and wound healing. It was like, goes black, then it's going to go purple, then it's going to go yellow green, then it's going to go splotchy. And he had somebody that had a 25 millimeter tumor taken out, and it went automatically like in a day, went to green and yellow and then splotchy. It skipped almost the other two phases, which is some crazy stuff. We have some veterinarian in Colorado that uses this like 20 times, 30 times a day for spades and neuters on cats and dogs.
Oh, wow.
Just to help with the healing. So all kinds of cool stuff like that. The guy I just got off a call with, does a rehab center for dogs, and he's using it. He's 30 to 40 patients a day. And he's like, because for the dogs, we have a harness that goes, it puts the vibe over their heart, which is where the vagus nerve clusters.
Right.
And he goes, you're onto something, dude, because I have been doing this for 20 years. Nothing is calming these dogs down faster than this. So he's like, the vest is probably almost as important as the device because of the location with the vagus nerve and the heart. So the other device invented was a vagus nerve toner that, exactly what I just said, it sits on your heart. So you just wear it like a piece of jewelry. So the cheating, so long answer to your question again, but a cheating way to get full body coverage is to put it near the vagus nerve, which comes down both sides of your neck, clusters around your heart, and it goes to every part in your body. Most vagus nerve stimulators are going to be something on your neck or your head. Your head because of the brain, your neck because that's the closest the nerve is to the skin, but you don't need to do that, right? And most people hate putting something on their head, especially if it's electricity. Literally, there's a device out there, we won't name the company, that's very old, that has wet sponges, like the Green Mile, that you put on your head. Yeah. Some of the other companies that designed them to put on your head, the customers don't wear it on their head. They put it on the shoulder or their leg. So the companies have actually changed the way they market it and say to wear the thing. So as far as I know, I'm the only person that's tapping into the vagus nerve at the heart with a pendant that sits there for both. Again, if it's not obvious, this is for pets and people: dogs, cats, horses, people, giraffes. Yes, we put it on a giraffe.
Okay. Now, is there a contraindication? So, like, I have some patients that have a pacemaker, and I've intentionally told them to keep it away, like just stay away from the left side here. So is the vibe contraindicated in any circumstance.
Yes. So the official answer that I have to give, because everyone in the community is going to give the same answer, is yes, if you have a pacemaker, an insulin pump, or any electronics inside of you, don't use it.
Okay.
If you're pregnant, don't use it.
All
Now,
right.
the unofficial answer, is there any cases of anything bad going? No. Okay. And I put in perspective, so that's Mark's official answer. No, don't use it if you have a pacemaker or an insulin pump. Now, for your own consideration, this is 9 Gauss. That's the energy level that it's putting out. An MRI is 50,000 Gauss. Okay.
Right.
So for years, if you had a pacemaker, you couldn't get an MRI. So then doctors started to go, hey, you know what? If we don't look inside of you with this MRI, you're going to die anyway, probably. So you want to take the chance. To my knowledge, only one person has ever died from an MRI.
Huh.
And it had nothing to do with a pacemaker. An oxygen tank flew across the room and hit a lady who didn't have a pacemaker. Okay.
Okay.
And we do 1 million MRIs a year. So,
Right.
and of course, the first newborn baby that's deformed and they use PMF, they're going to blame it on the PMF. So if you're pregnant, absolutely don't use it. So those are the official answers that everyone will tell you. Do not use it. Now, to clarify that, artificial hips, knee replacements, metal plating, screws, all that's fine. All that's fine. It's only the electronics. The analogy is like when they tell you to turn off your cell phone on an airplane, and I'm a pilot, there's no way in the world your cell phone is affecting the avionics. But there's 1 in a trillion chance it is. So across the world, we all turn our phones off on airplanes.
Okay.
That's the analogy.
I'm learning so much. So now the frequencies themselves, there's a number of different, I don't want to say diagnoses, but there's just different names, acne, ADHD, kind of goes alphabetized. And it's crazy. I am skeptical, but I'm like, how is this working? Because anything I bring to my clinic, I'm the first guinea pig and I try them on me. And then my poor family, they're next. And we're just seeing these consistent results. And, some may say, well, that's placebo. And I say that's great because that's the power of the mind.
Right.
But I can feel something. There's something definitely physiologically going on. So kind of a 2-part question. What is the history of those frequencies? How are they discovered? And physiologically, what's going on?
Yeah. And so we already talked about where in the United States, we stopped the research, right? So a lady, it's microcurrent is where it came from. A lady bought a practice. There's an old machine with a card on it that said 40 hertz inflammation, 127 hertz vitality or whatever. Where did it come from? Who knows? Whatever. So started playing with it. So since then, 8,000 practitioners or more over 35 years started playing with their frequency pairs. And the analogy I try to use is the frequency pair is like a chord on a guitar and the protocol is a song. So like PTSD is very complex. It's 76 frequency pairs changing about every 1 to 4 minutes. So the analogy is picture kids in a garage as a pickup band. Okay. They're making songs. They throw in a cowbell, they take out bass, they throw in something else, and they make a song. And you make the songs better and better. And the analogy I saw the other day was the Bee Gees. There's a clip that's hilarious. The first 300 songs the Bee Gees made are awful. Awful. Right. And then they got better near the end when they became famous and stuff. So that's where it comes from, is it's trial and error and practice. Okay. And we're constantly changing them all the time. An example I'll just give is Lyme disease. I had a couple hundred people go, what do you have for Lyme disease? I go, nothing. I'm not a doctor. I'm a rocket scientist. There's no background to it. I can't find anything. I had enough people, Elaine, and enough Facebook group calls where you're looking at people's faces like, oh my God, they'd rather be dead, I think. I mean, it's awful to talk to them, right? It's like, not to talk to them, but just experience that. So I'm like, all right, I'll dive into it. So I found one practitioner that said, yep, we can kill it, Lyme disease, bacteria, with 1 to 4 hertz. But he goes, be careful because you're going to get the Herrnheiser reaction or whatever it's called. That little thing's going to...
Herxheimer, right.
Herxheimer, it's going to spit poison. So the first study we did, the good news, bad news is it worked. The bad news is every single person got sick, 100% of them. So they quit using it. So I'm like, okay, going back into the garage. playing guitar. Okay, so now what do we do? Let's revise that. Run it at power level 5 to kill it instead of 10 to kind of walk your way into it. Then run liver protocol to clean out toxins. Then run the vagus nerve for the hell of it to rebalance your body. Rinse and repeat, and then try and work your way up to 10 on the delta frequency, 1 to 4 hertz. That's the protocol we're recommending to everyone now. If people stick on it, the majority of them, it's helping a lot, but it's because it is, so that's where they come from, and we're making stuff up. I get, and you make bridges sometimes, right? It's like I had 3 doctors in the same week say, hey, this is kicking butt for MS. I go, multiple sclerosis, I don't have anything for that. I go, what are you using? Fibromyalgia? And they all went, yep. They're just kind of looking at the list. And this is what because we can't diagnose, treat, cure anything. We tell all of our customers, here's the list of core 60 protocols. Go see if there's a good match. See one, go to the expansion protocols. We have 70 other protocols that can be repurposed from the 5 brainwave protocols. See if that's a match. That's the best thing we can tell you. And people still want us to give them the answer. Which one do I do? We try to coach them as much as we can, but go make your own judgment of what, and if it doesn't work for you, try something else.
Right. And, one thing I love about it is it's very easy to incorporate the little device while I'm doing my manual therapy. So, excuse me, when I hit my phone came up. While I'm doing my manual therapy, I can have the PEMF device. I also have a near infrared photobiomodulation. So I'm kind of doing those at once, and just how my palpation and how it just feels completely different. It's like, I don't know if you've ever put your tongue on a 9-volt battery. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't recommend it. I had a brother that tricked me as a kid, but this kind of electrical quality that I can really pick up and sense, since I've been introducing this this wellness tech, and I have a patient. She has been diagnosed with Lyme. She was I would see her, and her tissues just felt very, very inflamed. But since she has her own, and that's the other thing I love about this, is it empowers my patients, because that's exactly what I want to do for them. I want them in the sanctity of their own home. If you need to see a doctor, yes, of course. But if you can treat a chronic long-term degenerative issue in the sanctity of your own home, I am all for that. So she is doing both the photobiomodulation and that Lyme protocol like clockwork, and her tissues, there's just little pockets. I mean, she is just making incredible progress. Every week, patients are saying, oh, I'm taking less Tylenol, or
Right.
I'm going to the bathroom better. It's just blowing me away. And I'm not even I haven't even, it's just been word of mouth, and people get one, and then then I want 2 more for my sister, and or I have a loaner. I give them like a whole new one and say, just, this is a loaner, try it for a week, let me know. And then all my loaners end up wanting to buy. So there's something definitely to this little device. So one question I had kind of on the physiology, the research that I've done, again, we didn't study this in school, but the research I've done, I came across some information that talking about this pulse electromagnetic fields help with increasing ATP production. So if you can maybe kind of go into like physiologically what's going on at the cellular level when we're doing this technology.
So a couple of things that's key that I don't get to do, like you just said, is when you're doing the hands-on work, and I've heard this from tons of practitioners in clinics like that, like yours, you can feel it melt. You can feel the heat, you can feel the tension melt, the inflammation go away, those type of things. I don't have that. I'm not a practitioner like that. I don't have my hands on any people here, right? So that, I know it does that. I've watched all the practitioners talk about it. I've felt it myself in training classes and stuff, but I don't get a lot of experience with that. How it actually works, and I'll start with, nobody knows. This is why I make all the doctors mad. Okay, we'll come back to this in a minute, because I go, You've never proven how aspirin works or any drug. Every doctor gets mad at me and goes, we know exactly how aspirin works. I go, you do not. You're delusional. You think you have a theory, but you don't know how it works. And then I go to, okay, have you ever heated a slice of pizza in a microwave oven? And they go, what the hell has that got to do with anything? I'm like, go with me here. Have you ever done that? And of course, the answer is yes. How is it heating that piece of pizza? The theory is that you're hitting the right frequency and energy to make a water molecule spin on its own axis.
Right.
Nobody in the world has ever photographed or videoed a spinning water molecule, ever. So it's still a theory and nobody could see that. So relief before reason, as long as it's safe, it's not hurting anyone, you don't have to know how it works exactly. Now, having said that, here's what we do know, okay? We being the whole industry. The voltage on your cells. If the voltage gets low like a car battery, you get sick. If the voltage is low, you cannot get nutrients into the cell and you can't get waste out of the cell efficiently.
Right.
So voltage is very important. The whole thing about electricity and the book you referenced at the beginning. This increases the voltage on the cell membrane. It's been shown and proven in many studies. So that's number one. Number two, you already said ATP. That adenosine triphosphate, I always say the A part wrong, but it's the number one chemical that your cells use for food, and it increases ATP up to 500%.
Oh, wow.
That's been shown on several studies. So recharging your cells' batteries, giving your cells more food so your body can do what it does best, which is getting you out of the way and letting it heal itself, right?
Okay.
Instead of putting chemicals and a bunch of, that's what most everyone in the community will agree is happening. Now there's 1,000 other theories below that.
Okay.
You can and can't measure and all that kind of stuff, but that's, and to your placebo point, you know, when I get in that fight, and so it was me and the fish a year and a half ago, and I now have 12 women in pajamas scattered around the country helping, okay? But when I tell them, when they come on board, we just hired somebody again yesterday. I was like, this is going to be probably the most satisfying job you ever had in your life. However, this is not Housewives of Orange County. This is not a fake thing. This is real people that have been through trauma, hell, miscarriages, death, murder, imprisonment, unlawful, unrightful, torture, and all those things. And what my thought was that is, you have somebody who has a gun in their mouth, they're going to commit suicide, and they decide, I ran the protocols and I feel better and I don't care anymore. I don't want to shoot myself.
Right.
I don't care if it's 100% placebo, 100.
Right.
Okay, because the person's still with us. If you're not getting divorced and you were planning to get divorced, but now you're not because you're less of a jerk to hang out with, I don't care if that's 100% placebo and it did something to your mind, or your kids want to hang out with you. So absolutely, positively, there has to be some kind of placebo effect. How big it is, don't know. I don't think it's that huge, but you never know. For some people, what is more powerful, way more powerful than the placebo effect, is the nocebo effect. Okay. And I'm going to single out men here because they're awful. They're 100 times more likely to say, this crap won't work, screw you. And they already have their mind made up that it's not going to work. And literally, I want to tell people, I don't. That's why I try not to answer phones and email anymore, because I want to tell them, don't buy it. I can already tell by your attitude. If you ask me about warranty 3 times and return policy and this, that, and the other, and this is going to make everyone angry. If you have an AOL or a Yahoo email address, yeah, I'm a rocket scientist. I've done the analysis. I've put it into ChatGPT. 80% of our returns are people
Right, dial up.
They have an AOL email address. They're just already skeptical about it, just old school, and they want to just fight with you before you start. Get that out of your head, or you could, mind over matter is real. It's been proven, and you can talk yourself into, there's no way this is going to work. And it probably won't with that attitude. In the 70s, there was a comedian called Rich Hall on TV, and he had a thing called sniglets. And they were words that weren't in the dictionary, but should be. And one of them was boson. It's a combination of bozo and ozone. It's an invisible gas that surrounds people and stops any new ideas from getting in. So I have so many Facebook haters. The best thing I ever did in my career is I hired a lady named Doris a year ago to answer all the social media stuff, because I'd go in there every Friday and try and rationalize with idiots. And they're like, you try and give them data and you're just throwing gas in the fire. So I wrote an article called Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. And I said, okay, here's what we know about this technology, blah, blah, here's what we don't know. And here's the biggest scams of all time. Ready? DNA sequencing, CRISPR, antibiotics, MRIs. So I go through a list of 300 technologies that are absolutely, positively impossible. They are complete magic, but now they're not, and we use them every day. We do 1 million MRIs a year. If I explained how an MRI machine works, it is, in Mark's opinion, the most magical thing ever invented by human beings. It can't work. It can't. There's 5 different levels of no way it can work, and it does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Absolutely. So
keep an open mind, right? So it's like,
right. And, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciate, because in this dive of oh my word, researching, there's so many companies, there's so much information. It's very overwhelming to know what's legitimate and what's not. And my relationships with my patients, to me, it's on the level of sacred. So I never want to bring something to them where they feel pressured. And some of these technologies, I'm sure they're great, but it's